Welcome to Common Unity, the podcast that unveils the unique life stories shaping the individuals of today.
Often, it's scary, right? When you're going to start a business, and I've had a few people be like, how do you just take the leap?
When you play to your strengths, you experience ease, excellence, and enjoyment.
Yeah, right time, right place, but you put yourself in that place. That luck never happened without all the work that led to you being in that place at that time.
Who cares how people look at them? Whatever keeps you ticking, until you get to the next thing and figure it out.
Join us as we unravel the triumphs, challenges, and pivotal moments that have crafted the past of our guests. I'm Jason Fox.
And I'm Nick Fennell.
Let's get into the show.
I started doing it and suddenly I think before I get 2,000 views and it was 20,000 and then 50,000 and then all of a sudden I'd get some that would hit 1 million and I'm like, oh. But yeah, around day 21, day 7 just started to go mental and 24 hours we gained 30,000 followers. Whew. It just blew up. You wait a month or two and then you repost it, slightly adjusted, it'll probably perform really well again.
So welcome back to Common Unity. Today we've got Logan Donnelly here. You might have seen him on the podcast before. He runs an Instagram called Kiwi Dad, and the last chat you had with Jason, and it was just Jason before I came on the podcast, and now it is just me doing an interview.
Yeah.
Jason is actually in the States at the moment, and fun story, he walked into a building today, ended up being the press conference for UFC 300, and he got picked out of the crowd with a spot prize to get sponsor tickets for right up the front for the press conference
so
today.
Is that advertising? How do you just get free tickets?
I don't know. I think they were just saying there's going to be free tickets given out to someone in the crowd. They put their hands up. That's what I'm assuming, but I just got a Snapchat from him, and he just pulls these tickets out of his pocket, and he's down the front right up in the action. So
it must be
lucky Jason.
Some positive energy to draw that in. That's wicked.
I said the law of attraction is definitely working for you today, mate.
Yeah, hard out.
Yeah.
How much for tickets like that? I don't know much about that. Do you?
Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Right.
But I know that it's probably very lucky to just walk out and hit that. So
hard out.
Yeah, and he's staying in a pretty cool looking hotel with lazy rivers and all these lounges and stuff. Yeah. So that looks pretty cool.
Wicked.
Yeah. So jump straight in. If you guys haven't met Logan or seen Logan before, we'll just quickly run over what you went through in your last podcast and why we've got you back in.
Yeah, I can't even remember when it was, to be honest. It was, maybe a year ago. I don't know. Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah.
Last time I was
8
in,
months.
8 months. Yeah. My Kiwi Dad Instagram thing had started to just kick off, and I think it was about 5,000 followers or something like that. We kind of just yarned about why I started Kiwi Dad a bit, things like that.
Nice. Yeah. And I remember a lot about, because I did not know your story, because I'd met you before. We talked about Kiwi Dad. We'd been hanging out a little bit, and I didn't even know you were going on the podcast with Jason. And then when I listened to your podcast, I thought you were going to be talking about Kiwi Dad the whole time. But you were talking about testosterone replacements and TRT.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I shared all the infertility stuff. That's right. Yeah.
It was a full segue that I had no idea, and I learned and I was like, how much research has he done on testosterone replacement?
So much. Yeah.
So there's some golden nuggets in there. But the reason we've got Logan back today is because his 5,000 followers are now sitting at over 80,000 followers.
80,000 on Insta and about almost 30 on TikTok now. And it's grown quite a bit.
So 110 in total?
Yeah, I've got about 7 on YouTube. So almost 120 now. So.
And the bulk of it, I heard, or I know, came in sort of a short period of time.
Yeah, 30 days. Yeah.
There you go.
Pretty much, yeah.
How good. So you got some strategies and techniques?
Yeah, a whole day challenge thing. Which we can get into if you want to get into it.
Yeah, well, I just think that it's a cool thing that you've done, and I love your content. I love that post you did yesterday or the day before where you saw your dad in a different light, hanging out with your daughter, and you had those little clips of all the cute moments with your daughter and your dad.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing with content creation. I think it's somewhat of a double-edged sword, is that because I'm always trying to find moments to capture and stuff, I'm looking for content in real life, which can be good and bad. So seeing my dad play with my daughter, Delilah, I'm like, oh, cool, this is a cute thing. And then I'll get a video that I wouldn't have normally got, right? I probably wouldn't have recorded my dad playing with Lila. I just would have missed it. And I'm like, oh, this is good. So I capture it, and then you start to form narratives where I'm like, oh, this would be a great, like, the beauty of grandparents thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting, like, double-edged thing where you're, like, constantly mining your life for content, which is bad, but then the positive is, like, you get these moments that you wouldn't have got to, you know?
Yeah, because when I went traveling, my idea before I went traveling was to become like this travel vlogger, and I took
that was real big in like the 2010s on YouTube though, right? Like people
Yeah.
just did that and made lots of money.
Yeah, so
way.
that was
Yeah.
kind of like a dream because I went traveling in like 2016,
Yeah, right.
I think, or 2015.
Yeah, so right around the peak of that. Yeah.
Right around the peak of that. And then, so I took all my camera gear, went off, and then just realized as soon as I start trying to film something, I am out of the moment. And yeah, it wasn't until 360 cams came out that I actually started enjoying capturing moments, because you can just push record, it captures everything, do a little 30-second, this is what I'm up to, and then you can edit it all afterwards. So it doesn't actually take you out of the moment, you just understand that something cool's going to come. Yeah,
because you would have been, because I think I'm lucky in that my stuff, it doesn't have to be that polished. I'm just getting out my phone and recording. Yours would have been proper equipment. You probably wanted to get like a nice angle and film it in a certain way.
I think that's a trap that you fall into though, you know, because now with way more experience, I use way less gear.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I try and make it more enjoyable and try to be like more the fly on the wall style, rather
less
than you need to stand here, we need to get these lights here, and I need to have this lens on. And
it's funny too, because when I see content like that, that is like very polished and very organized in that way, it feels less authentic because of it. You know, like you see, there's a rise in like YouTubers now that have like a single shot. They've cut out their breathing, but that's it. You know, they've barely edited it, and it feels way more natural and organic. So yeah, it's funny how it changes. It
does, yeah. And so, keeping yourself in the moment whilst trying to capture the footage, I understand would be a hard balance when especially when your content is about dadding, and you're probably dadding every single day. And you know, we're doing one of your challenges at the moment, so I understand how, you know, even book time now becomes an opportunity to make a video. And I've got lights set up and
so you've got a taste of it now. So we're doing a day challenge right now. We kind of do alternate days trying to film stuff.
But let's just jump back in. And so from 5,000 followers, where'd you get the idea? How'd you come up with it? What did you do? And how did you jump to 80,000 followers? Because I'm sure that there's people listening right now that are trying to grow their business and grow some following organically, and they'd love some tips and tricks, because I know it's not just about the day challenge. You've got some other systems in place as well.
And on that, guys, it's also super important to us that this gets out to more people. So if you can, and you got some value from it, please share it on your social media, tag your friends in it, send it to someone that you think may get some value from it.
So that if we can get on good guests and ask them great questions, then hopefully everyone that's listening gets some value out of it, and we can keep bringing on better guests with the experiences that you need help with.
The first year when I started Kiwi Dad, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just I've always wanted to get into that kind of content creation stuff. I've tried like a couple times, and then I just didn't have consistency, because there wasn't, if the driver for me was to like grow a following or whatever, it wasn't enough to keep doing it, because, you know, you spend all this time making a video. I remember I made like a how to budget video before I'd done Kiwi Dad, because I made this budget guide thing that got heaps of downloads. It took me like a week and a half to make it, ages, and then it got like, I don't know, like 300 views or something, you know? I was like, and then I didn't want to keep going, and then I think,
is that because you spent too long on it and 300
too
wasn't
long
enough?
And yeah. And
300 sounds great.
Yeah, well, it's funny too, right? Because you have these different metrics.
Yeah.
Like my metrics now for if a video is done well on Instagram are like ballooned out, you know? Like if it's under 50,000, it didn't do well, you know? Where before that would have been like, oh my gosh. So you're like sort of your goalposts do change as well. Yeah.
It's all relative, eh?
You got to be careful with that too, though, because then you get disappointed. But yeah, so I struggled with that, because I wanted to get into kind of YouTube. That was too long. Instagram is perfect, because it's like 60 seconds or under. So you can I'm sure you could spend ages on a video if you wanted, but really you can spend, you know, maybe half a day or a day making a video. If it doesn't work, all good. You're on to your next video. So the disappointment of it isn't too much. Which is really good. But yeah, initially when I started, I was kind of just making stuff, kind of sharing like my journey as a dad, and look at the content now. I'm like, oh yeah, it wasn't very good, but it never is, you know. Like that's how you start. But then that grew pretty quick initially. Like I think I got about 800 followers within the first like 2 or 3 months. So I was like, there's definitely something here, and I knew there was because me as a dad looking for other dads, just sharing if they're struggling and stuff. There was like nothing. There was like, it seemed to be there's a range of mainly American dads, and they were either like, I'd say quite feminine dads, you know, very like gentle parenting, very like, this is how we should talk to our kids, you know, like that kind of thing. Or you get like the other end where it's like a 40-year-old guy, no hair, maybe a bare belly, quite blokey, and it's more like, this is how you change a tire, you know, like that kind of energy. And there wasn't really like, just sort of, you know, you're kind of like millennial dad that wants to be involved, isn't overly feminine, but still wants to like, you know, be an active like participant in parenting. And also like, hey, this is really hard sometimes. And like, I'm struggling to manage all these responsibilities that like just wasn't there. It's a bit more there now, but that's kind of what drew me in. But yeah, so that first year I was making content around that. And then by the end of sort of 12 months, I think I was at like 1,200 followers, but the way I was making content wasn't sustainable. Like I was sort of every night trying to like edit and film, and it was burning me out, you know. I wasn't really, and I was like, what am I trying to do here? And then, I think it was 2020, what are we in now? 2024. Start of 2023. You're in a bit ago. There we go. I was like, I'm actually going to take like a couple of weeks off and not try and, because I got into this thing where I was like, I'll release a video every 2 days. Like that was just a thing for me to keep myself consistent. It was like every 2 days I'll make a reel or a carousel, but I'll post something every other day. And I managed to do that. But then around January 2023, I was like, I'm going to take time off that and just work out like workflow, strategy. How can I do this better so that like, say I film everything once a month, then I slowly edit it, and then I slowly caption it or something like that. And so I just spent way more time doing that. And then in that process, I was like, why am I not looking at other parenting accounts and other accounts and how they're doing? And then that was when it like really clicked, where I was like, oh, like if you go, you find say 5 accounts, and this works for like any social media, so any small business, same thing, 5 accounts in your niche. So for me, it was like parenting dad stuff, but mum stuff can be easily flipped to dad stuff. But like say if it's real estate, you could then go look at 5 real estate accounts that are doing well. But you don't want like those accounts that have 5 million followers. They're too big, and they don't, what works for them probably won't work for you. But an account that has like between 50,000 to 200,000 and is growing as well, what they're doing can work for you. And then so you kind of just, that's what I did, was went through, I think maybe like 8 parenting accounts. And then I ended up making like a better template now. Originally it was just like a Google Sheet, Excel kind of thing, you know. But I just went through and looked at all their best performing videos, made a link, got the concept, and then all of a sudden I had like, I don't know, 50 video ideas where I was like, it worked for them, it should work for me. And then I started doing it, and like, oh, whoa, like suddenly I think before I get like 2,000 views, and it was like 20,000, and then 50,000, and then all of a sudden I'd get some that would hit 1 million. And I'm like, oh, because as you keep doing it, you see the way this person did a video and it worked well, and then this one did a video and it worked well. So like my first big one was about the 4th trimester, which is like that 3 months after a baby's born, and adjusting to it. I
remember the video.
Yeah. All the physical changes and stuff. And I'd seen a mum do that, and she just did like a single shot talking about it, no explaining of the science really. And I was like, oh, I've seen these other people use animations to show like things like that. Yeah. And so I just jumped on Canva and showed like the brain and the way the hormones changed and stuff. Filmed pretty much her same script, adapted from like a dad perspective, chucked in a bit of dad stuff too about how dad testosterone drops, put that all together. And then I think that now is at like 3.4 million views, and I've reposted it a couple of times. Yeah. But that's what happens if you look at all these best performing videos, you start to like see the thread where you're like, oh, there's something there of the science making like science behind parenting, informative and engaging, people like that. Okay. Or like there's something about showing that dads are more active in parenting now and linking some studies. When you see that pop off on a couple people's videos, you're like, oh, like that's the thread. It's that, because if you just look at one, like a single video, you're like, oh, I wonder why that did well. But when you see 5, 10 accounts all touching on a similar thing and they're all doing well, you're like, oh, that's what people are into. Yeah. And then from there, you just kind of can make content and you get better at it, refine it. And that's probably like the biggest tip. There's a bunch of other little ones, but like if you do that properly, it'll work, you know, like it just works. You just have to find what your audience wants.
Nice. Yeah, because I remember for no one will know this, but we got Logan on to help us try grow our socials from zero. And with Logan helping us in the last 17 days, we've 8x'd the account, which has been quite cool. But when we first started working together, he had a full Notion like workflow project with all these different links and clip-ins, and then even a calendar where you could plan out what post was going to go where, what type of content it was going to be. You had templates for everything, and it was like a whole day's like tutorial sit down with you just to show me how to use your Notion template. And so it was at the same time that Robin was going on about how you need to create systems in your business. And I was looking at that Notion and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy has spent some time systemizing.
I remember that was real good for me too, because like I built that slowly over like say 12 months as I like was trying to plan exactly that, looking at people's accounts, getting the ideas, and then being like, oh, how do I make this quicker, doing this and that? And then showing you, and you've been like, how does this work? Or like, how do you drag that? Or having to show you. And I was like, oh, I've never had to show someone what I take for granted of how this works. Yeah.
Definitely. Like even I remember it took you 3 times teaching me just how to find that GPT link to even
the AI
create
stuff.
the reels.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know where to click the link. And I'd been shown 3 times because it's just there's so much going on in your workflow that so just for anyone listening, you don't have to start there. What was the golden nuggets? You find 8 accounts like yours, follow them, look at what videos are doing, and then just dissect the common thread, and then that's where you can start your videos. Get a Google Doc and just start writing out the ideas that are working, and then that will give you your first 5 to 10 pieces of content.
Yeah, basically that's it, is like, and you can be literally pen and paper. Yeah. You don't need to get fancy with it. Like online is definitely easier because then you can keep the link. Yeah. But that's the other ones, depending on like your niche, like what you're in. Like my friend Stu that we've talked about before, he like helps small businesses set up websites and stuff. Yep. And so his is more like search based content of like, how do I make a website? How do I link a Shopify store into my website and that kind of stuff. And
so what you're saying is if you don't know or you couldn't find other businesses that are niched like you, that have unique content to put out, just try and find pieces of information that you help your clients with. Yeah. And then use that as the basis. Because Josh Ryan, who we had on here, that was his main tip. He's like, well, what do you teach your clients to do? Like, what do you help them with? And then just like condense that down and then package it up into little bits of value that you can give to your clients, and then say, this is how you do it yourself. If you want to be able to do it better or you want me to do it for you, then get in contact.
Yeah, and that you build that trust with your audience because you're answering. Yeah, it's like if you're working in a space where you are like clients and you're getting that, jot those down. And then there's like websites like answerthepublic.com gets like Google search, YouTube search, and Bing, and it shows you all the most popular searches in that. So if you're like think of an accountant, so like how long should I refix my mortgage for? I know that pops up online all the time. I see I'm not an accountant, but I'm like, that one's juicy as, like everyone's wondering that. But you go on Answer the Public and you type in like refix or interest rate, and you would see exactly the way people word it, because they might not say like refix, they might not have that language. They might say like, how long should my bank like mortgage be? Or so, people word things in funny ways. Yeah. And so if you go on Answer the Public and see the way they word it, then in your hook of your video, you can literally say exactly the way they would say it, how they would search it. And then that gets them straight away. They're like, oh, I Googled that the other day. Like it's, I know, Keep the Change. He's like an accountant guy. And one of his the other day was about like the interest deductibility for landlords that they've brought back in.
Yeah.
And that's like a pretty dry subject. But his hook was like, are we like paying landlords like way more money now, blah, blah, blah. And like, it was like a negative hook of like, is the government handing over free money to landlords? Do they deserve it? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, you've hooked me. Like, I'm interested. And then he explained like how it all works with this like whiteboard. Whiteboards are great too because he was showing visuals. And again, it was like percentages of rental income. You wouldn't think it was interesting, but he was answering the question. He did it in a really engaging way with a negative hook. And I watched the whole video and I was like, I just learned how that works and like how a rental property actually works just like a business, except you almost get most of the benefits, not the cons. In this video, and I'm not informed, I'm sure someone's probably like, that's not how it works. But, you know, but but that's like, again, I'm not even the target audience, but it was enough that I was like, and then probably I already follow him. If I didn't, I'd probably be like, he just taught me something. I'm going to follow him because he made that easy to understand. So, yeah.
And so you just got to try and find the people who are dissecting those complex things in simple ways. And then rather than reinventing the wheel, just kind of copy what they're doing with your own little twist to it.
Yeah, and because the thing is, like, you can find, again, say it's real estate, and you're trying to find other accounts in that niche that do something you can copy, and you're like, what they're making doesn't resonate. You know, you're like, nah, this isn't the style I want to do. Jump niches into something else. Like, there's one guy that gives, I think it's YouTube growth advice, and he's got like, it's like just a little cardboard thingy and there's like stickers over it, and he's like, if you want more views, and then he like rips off the sticker and it's like, post once a week, if you want blah blah, do this, you know. And like there's something about that format that's really engaging and interesting, and you want to like watch until he's pulled all the things off. But like seeing that it's a completely different niche, but that way he's delivering the content, you could be like, if you want to have a rental property, rip off the sticker and show that, you know what I mean? Yeah. If you want more cash flow. And so like, it's because I think people get bogged down in like, no one in my niche is doing that. It's like, perfect. Like if it's working for another type of niche, it's probably going to work for you, how they're delivering it. Grab it from there, put it in yours. And if you're the first to do that, then people are going to start copying you the way, you know, we copy other people. So you can like, mixing niches is like a really good way to get growth as well. Yeah.
And then if we backpedal just quickly here, because there was one part where you said you were trying to make content every second day. You started burning out. How did you manage? Because I know there's lots of people out there, like especially people, if anyone's trying to grow their business page or anything like that, it's where do I find the time to sit down and actually do it? Yeah. And how do you make yourself do it?
Yeah, and that's the tricky part, I think, is it does take, I'd say you need, if you're not like in any kind of content creation at all, it's probably going to take 6 months before you get into a flow where it's not difficult. So like after you've got the skill set, it's not as hard to do it. So that's like one really good thing, but you have to commit yourself to like multiple months. And then the other one is like, because I've seen a few mates try and do it where they want to do content creation or they want their thing for their business to work, but they're not actually that passionate about what they're talking about. You know, like they're not actually that into it. And if you're not passionate about it, you're gonna struggle. Because like I've had multiple times where, say the day was just like rough, because I got back into my every couple of days. Like now it's probably, I try and still do every 2 days, but sometimes it's every 3 days I'll post something. So I've got a bit more fluid with it, just because being too rigid was a bit hard. But they're like every 2 day thing. Some days you're like, you're knackered, you're really wrecked, but I really like making the content now. Like it's fulfilling for me. It's almost like a hobby. If I have like an hour somewhere, I'm like, oh, cool, I'm gonna make a video. Sweet, you know? So like but that took me over a year for that to like know how to make a video quickly and find like, because one thing I think is a good caution for like anyone that's copying other people's ideas and trying to grow that way. So it works, but think of it like you're figuring out how audiences like stuff. Yeah. If you lean too heavily into that, where you're just copying other people, which I've done before, you start to just feel like a robot. Like you're just playing like the algorithm game, making content you know will perform well, but you don't necessarily want to make it. but you're doing it because you know that structure is going to work well. And so like there has to be like an in between, like the one with my dad we're talking about at the beginning.
Yes.
I knew that type of content works well, but also I like wanted to make something about my dad, and like he watches some of the Kiwi Dad videos sometimes. Yeah. And then I sent it to him.
He'd love seeing that though.
Yeah, well, that was it. He was like, might have brought a tear to my eye, you know, like, and so like making that video easy for me, like super fulfilling, even just watching my dad and having to like go through clips. Cause I went back to like when Lila was like 4 months old, 8 months old. I'm seeing like her little as well, which is like always nice. And then seeing my dad progression with her. That's a video I wanted to make, and I knew it would probably do pretty well. But it wasn't just because I knew it would do well, you know? And so there's like a finding
win-win.
Yeah, but sometimes that isn't the case, and it's maybe like one for one, where sometimes I make a video because I know it will probably do well, then I make one because I want to make it, you know?
So this is where you're at 1 year in. Well, how do you get through the first 12 months?
Yeah, and that's the tricky. So for me, when I was doing it, I had no purpose really besides I was struggling with being a dad. Like genuinely, I found it way harder than I expected. Real challenging, just managing like work and things like that. I'd gone into like a new job as well. So there's like stress of performing, stress of trying to be like a good parent. And then that job was like work from home about 80% of the time. And then I'd go up to Auckland, come back. So I was managing that as well, you know, of working from home and your partner's home and you've got a newborn baby, and it was like a whole lot. And so then the content creation was almost like a vice of like, oh, I need to go make the video, get into that. And it was like a sense of control as well, right? So like there's a whole bunch of aspects going on there, but that then made it really easy for me to learn because I wanted to learn.
Yes.
Know? Yeah.
So saying you got to find some curiosity.
Yeah.
And then you got to find a topic that so whether it's, if it's to do with your work and trying to get business, then find the angle that makes your work interesting, and then find a common thread, and don't make it too rigid at the beginning. Is that what you would?
Yeah, because I think there's so when people are trying to like pick their niche, right? They're like, people normally go like one of two ways. They go way too broad, and then they're like, one video is about, I don't know, like I'm seeing cars over there. So one video is about cars, and then the next video is about like diet, and then the next video is about like your kids or something like that. Yeah. And so like multiple things, your following is like, what is this page? If it's a personal page, you're good. But if it's like something you're trying to, like a content creator page or a business, you'd be like, what is this? Instagram also doesn't know. They're like, who do I recommend this to? You're doing all sorts. So like people often do that. Or they niche right down, and like I've got a mate that has a page called I think it's Reflux Rescue, and basically her daughter had really bad reflux. She got super into trying to solve it with diet and stuff like that. Yeah, and she got like 4,000 followers within quite a short amount of time. But then her daughter grew out of the reflux. Suddenly her interest is just gone, and then she was getting like sponsorship and stuff like that. So she was getting some business from it and some money, and she like messaged saying, I really struggle to make content now. And I was like, why? Then she's saying, well, it's not part of my everyday life anymore. I was like, like what she should have probably done was niche down to say, because a lot of her stuff was about diet, so it should have probably been about like diet for mums that are breastfeeding, or like diet for in general, you know, like she niched like a level too deep. And then she didn't know how to get out because she went just too deep, focused on just reflux. But like reflux diet for just new mums or mums in general, like trying to manage hormones, because a lot of it was linked to that as well. That one, she could probably talk about heaps, like about managing, like eating different at different times of like your menstrual cycle. That's one of her videos, so I'm just aware. That's why I'm bringing it up. But like, because, you know, most people, they run their own business, they want to do the socials, and if you really get to talking to them, there's something in their job they're super into. They could talk about it for hours. Yeah. And like, it's really good to have that as part of your niche and part of your content. So you have that passion, but don't niche to just that, because you will it'll get too limited. You know what I mean? It will run out, or life might change and it's not it. Like,
no longer as important.
Yeah. Like for me with Kiwi Dad, if it was just about like having a newborn and stuff like that, once Lila got older, I would have like ran out of it. Where like mine is, because it's dad stuff.
Yeah.
It's not even always about like parenting. Sometimes it's about like, mindset or finding things to be grateful for. Because I can do anything under the lens of being a dad.
Yeah.
But as long as it links to something to do with parenting, but that's everything, you know? So like I have huge like free reign on it.
That'll change and grow as your children grow up.
Or even like, it's cool because you know how you see like your memories or whatever pop up on TikTok, you see it. So I see what I posted 2 years ago, which is like around when I started. And I was like, see what I'm talking about there. I'm like, oh, I forgot. That's like really hard when you have a newborn, like that part. Like I think one of the ones I saw the other day was about like I really struggle with the noise of like baby cry. Like I know everyone does, but I get like sweaty. It really stresses me out. I get quite a big response from it. And then seeing a video I made about that and about like having earplugs basically, which sounds kind of bad, but that helped heaps. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have to remember that's a thing. And so like, it's like a history lesson for me because you forget, like life is so busy.
Well, I'm going through it now.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
You know, I've got a 2.5-year-old. I've got also a 3-week-old.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of going back to level 1.
How's that? I'm curious, like, because you get like by 2.5, there's a nice routine. There's a bit of structure. Things go out the window sometimes, but it's, and now at 3 weeks old.
I think we're really lucky because we've got a lovely 2.5-year-old.
Yeah.
Because like even the other morning, Karina was like, oh, can you watch the kids while I have a shower? And then I came out of my office and my 2.5-year-old sitting next to the baby and the little baby bouncer, like trying to read her a book. And there's a song on, and he's dancing away to Incy Bincy Spider, and he's like doing the actions and then trying to hold her hand and like so like but I suppose there'll be times when they all throw the toys out the cot and
or even just the sleep, I imagine. Like how's that?
Well, we've had some tuck and roll moments, like me and my wife already, just in the first 3 weeks. But we've actually been trying to solve them with the app that we've made, trying to make some focus points around, because like she gets really hung up on the negatives of the day and just starts stacking them. And there's not one positive that can possibly be seen whatsoever. And then that snowballs into just a feeling of like everything is my fault. And then I'm trying to do as much as I can whilst also, you know, have a startup and run my business and all of those sorts of things.
The many like hats and plates you got to spin it.
So you just, if I didn't have my ice bath, I don't know where I'd be. It's just extra energy all the time. But besides that, it's also just having a positive attitude and trying to find the good points of every day. And then so I just stack the good points as much as possible and then just find ways to put in extra wherever I can. Like if, you know, I can help hang the washing out for like 2 minutes or whatever it is. And like the dishwasher is always like this thing that you have this mental block for. But if you actually timed how long it takes to unpack the dishwasher, it's literally like 1.5 minutes. It's ridiculous how quick it is. And that gets you so many freaking brownie points. So I just try to do all these little things wherever possible. And then, we actually had a real big breakthrough just last night where we sat down and I created a focus point of all of the positive thing that I can focus on doing that negates all of the negatives that she's been focusing on.
What's a focus point? Explain how it works.
So a focus point is just a thing that I think will move the dial in my life in a positive direction. And so for me, if I can do things that are going to annoy my wife less, that's going to be a thing that is going to move the dial a lot on my life because I'm, and as long as my wife's okay with the fact that like she agrees that these things that I'm doing are going to move the dial on my life and I can do enough repetitions and actually start improving, then everything's going to get better.
Constructed it together.
Yeah, we sat down on the couch last night and then I said, what are the 3 main things that I do that really annoy you? The first one was being on my phone around the kids. And so, because I'm quite often replying to messages and doing different things and stuff comes up and then I'm like, and I'll reply to this while I'm with the kids. And so as long as I designate like an 1.5 hour like portion of the day, because I do quite a lot of time with the kids, as long as I put like a little 1.5 hour portion away where I don't have my phone of the day, then she's going to be really happy. And so I put that in my focus point. There was another one, I said I'll do 3 dinners a week. And so I put that into one of the reasons why for that focus point. And I also added, and then the cool part about it was I said that I would make all of these changes. She doesn't have to do it herself. But if I make these changes...
Sorry, just so I got a picture of the conversation. So it's what 3 things...
You're digging in here.
Yeah, well, I'm curious because I'll probably do this as well. So it's
Yeah.
good to know. So you said, what 3 things do I do that annoy you? And
Yes.
then you guys co-constructed these things that you could
And
work
then-
on. Did
yeah.
it then flip to 3 things she does that annoy you? Or is that not the way the
Nah,
combo
I didn't
goes?
want to... Nah,
She
I
has
didn't
to
go
instigate that. Okay,
Nah,
yeah,
well,
yeah. If she
I
wants
just
to.
didn't...
Yeah.
Because I just got
Yeah.
the commitment at the beginning that if I make a focus point and I said I'll rep 100 repetitions of these things that I'm going to do, and if I know that repetitions just program your subconscious, and then you eventually just do it naturally. And so basically, I just said that I will make the changes, but the promise that I need to get from her is that she can't list a big list of negatives anymore. She has to trust that I'm working on the things that are most important for her, to her, for me to work on. And then as long as I'm working on those things, she's got to be happier with me. And that's the only commitment I got at the beginning. But then once we went through and did my focus point, she opted in and said, I'll make a focus point too. And then
What was hers? Do you know? Or
I just launched onto it and said, like if I was going to make a focus point, the only thing I would like is that maybe when you notice you're making a list of negatives, if you could try your hardest to make a list of positives. And so we just put together a list of the things that she actually likes about me. And so then she can do repetitions of why she likes me.
This is like so real, bro, because that 4th trimester, those first 3 months, falling into the path of resentment, easy as, doesn't take anything, like there's a billion things that between both of you are irking each other, because you had sleep deprivation and for her, like all her hormones being drastically changed, if breastfeeding even worse, nutrients being taken, like it ain't going to take much. So like what you say, because I imagine some guys are probably like whipped, that's what my brain thinks of, like when, you're saying things to not annoy her. But I'm like, nah, that's real life though, especially in that newborn stage is like,
but
it's easy
anything to
to
take the pressure off,
Yeah.
like, cause there's moments where if you can work together as a team and bounce off each other, that makes terrible situations so much better.
Oh, 100%,
and then if you're not working together, it can just snowball like crazy in the other direction. So
yeah, because it can turn into like me versus you. Like I'm doing this and you're doing this.
That's so easy to do. Yeah.
Where like it should be like us versus the problem. But it's so easy to splinter, and especially in that time, the sleep deprivation, newborn, you've got a toddler, life, business, like you say, like it's real easy to slip into that me versus you. Like that's the go-to, I think, and you have to actively not.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take work. And so basically I just said, make a list of the things that you actually like about me, and then you can do repetitions of that. And then when you notice yourself making a list of negatives, just try your hardest to make a list of some positives.
Yeah.
And then the third one was, she goes, what do you want my third one to be? Because I put 3 reasons why with each focus point. And then the third one.
And why is it 3? Just power of 3. It's good to have 3 things to.
I'm sure between 2 and 4.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
know. 3 is just a sweet spot.
Yeah,
like if you do more than 4, it becomes tedious and it takes too long. And then if you do less than 2, like you're just reading one little thing. It's like,
and then because obviously I'm using this app as well. We're both using it. So basically, it's when you're on your phone, you're opening social media or something like that. It pops up, and then exactly what we're talking about. You're reading these things like
it's just reasons why you want to make. So you name the focus point, the change that you want to make, and then you list the reasons why you want to make that change. And when you do enough repetitions of why you want to make the change, you'll naturally just start making that change.
Yeah, right. Because I can picture I'm thinking, like Karina, your partner, if anytime she's opening her phone up, she is then seeing what's some positive things about you.
Yeah.
That's going to disrupt. If that negative list is building, she has to actively be like, but what are some positives? Can't hold a positive and a negative in your head at the same time, right? So the negative.
She's literally been smiling at me nonstop today.
Yeah.
And before today, I don't think she smiled at me since the baby was born.
That's how it goes sometimes.
So So I'm just so stoked.
No, but like, how can that? If you're doing that thought exercise, just that one point alone, 20 times a day, say 5 times a day,
And then for the third one, I thought I was really pushing the boat up. She goes, "What do you want me to do for the third one?" And I said, "Oh, I don't really know. Oh, actually, maybe we could get my computer out and watch our wedding vows, and you could pick something from in there." and I got out our wedding video.
Way to do it. Yeah,
watched her wedding vows and just made her, or didn't make her, just suggested like if there's anything on here that you think would make a difference.
I'm guessing there was something in your wedding vows that you liked that she said that you were.
Well, no, I didn't know. I just knew that she said really nice stuff in her wedding vows, that if she listened to her saying them on our wedding day, it'd probably spark back a whole bunch of things. Yeah. And then she can pick out whatever ones she thinks she wants to live up to. And it was actually it was comical because, when I did my wedding vows, one of my vows was I promised to revisit my vows throughout our marriage. And so I already have a focus point of our wedding vows, which is probably whipped, but
I mean,
but I do my vows.
The point of your vows exactly.
It is that because you're meant to do it throughout your marriage,
and people don't. I can't even fully remember what mine are. Like I should, but yeah.
And so I put my vows in a focus point for our wedding anniversary last month. That was my idea for like a gift.
I know just from using the app so many times that like anything you set in your focus points, because you read it like 100 times, once you've done it, it's burned in. Like mine are memorized in my head now. So I imagine vows, they're just locked in your brain, right?
Yeah, they're locked in there, and it just makes you act like a better person. Yeah. And it helps you be more supportive. It helps you be more patient. It helps you all of the things that you need to be in order to deal with a situation where, you're being blamed for a lot of stuff and you don't feel like it's your fault. You're already under pressure from other things, financially, time, and sleep is a big one. Yeah. And so when you're tired, you're trying to get, deals across the line with your business, and, you're trying to be patient and put quality time in with your kids. And then there's all these other things that you're meant to work on top of that. And then, you could easily snowball in the wrong direction.
So easy, yeah.
But if you've got the reasons why you're doing what you're doing, it just gives you enough energy to just keep pushing forward. And you don't really have down days or slack days, because while you're doing what you're doing, there's no reason to take the foot off the gas. There's no burnout, because it's all of the reasons why is like this little safety net. Just like every time you go to turn around, it's just like, nah, Bob, we're going this way.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that works.
What was the final one for her then out of the vows?
Oh, I can't remember what it was. It was last night. It's not my loops. I haven't done enough reps of it. But it was, can't remember at all.
Yeah, that's cool. I was just curious.
So but it was cool. Yeah. So we sat down last night and it solved.
Super cool exercise.
Yeah. And I literally have been smiled at multiple times. Noticed a lot more patience, even just today. And so day one, fingers crossed. 2 weeks time, still going. 2 months time, 2 years time. So hopefully it'll be something that we can systemize and share with other people for what they can do if they're in the same situation.
Yeah, because I remember I often read like research on like couples and like parents and that massive damage it does. Like
we're really segued across here.
Yeah. No, but I think it's 3% have an increase. So 3% of new parents have an increase in relationship satisfaction. So like they like each other more after a baby. This is in the first 12 months.
Really?
Only 3%. 79, I think it's 79, have a dramatic decrease. Yeah. And then the rest, whatever that is, like 21%, have a decrease. Now, not neutral, like decrease. Like pretty much no one stays the same score.
Oh, wow.
So like if I think it's like 20 questions, and it's like rating what you like about your partner and things like that. And say if you're like 8, 8, 8, 7, after baby, they did it like 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. 5, 5, 5. Yeah, I think like the big drop is like half. So if you're 8, you're a 4. And that's like 79% report that in those initial months. But one that was really interesting is that if you find things to appreciate about your partner, I think it was, it's you doing it. Yeah, so it's you doing it, not even if they do it to you, but you doing it to them makes your relationship satisfaction go up. So it's like, it's basically...
Well, I can understand how that is, because you're spotting the good things and then...
In them, and complimenting. So even if they're like still not happy with you, the act of you doing it, and then there's that like thing where if you're like feeling really positive towards them and lovey, they're negative towards you, but you're just so like, man, I really appreciate like all the things you do. I'm like, you're such a good mum, all that kind of stuff. when they're that negative and you're like that, it's really hard to be negative at someone
Yeah.
that clearly cares about you, and so it diffuses that, and
it stops you getting so wound up, because you've got
Yeah.
like, because if you've stacked all of the things that, I can't believe they blame me for this, I can't believe they always make me do this, all of those sorts of things, and then they start nagging you about something, you've got no resilience to that.
Yeah.
But if you've noticed all of the things that you really do like about them, and then they start nagging you for the same thing, you've just like, oh well, there's all this other cool stuff.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, nah, this is the final straw.
Oh, and I'm so guilty of that, of like something that normally would be fine. I don't know, like say Char, my wife, needs like help with something. It's often the computer, right? She's always having like computer issues. And normally if I'm in a good mood, I'm like, yeah, sweet, no worries. But say I'm like, so something's gone wrong at work and I have like a deadline and I'm stressed because I've got to do this thing tonight and I know I'm like going to have to stay up late. And then she like Charlie made a dig or something earlier. So I've got a full red balloon of negative stuff, just blowing it up. And then she asks, can you help me with this? And then if I say like, I can't right now, I'm too busy. And then she's short back, like, why not? Or something like that. I'm like, I'm so grumpy. Do you know how much I've got on? We're like, if I look for the positive, and exactly that, I've been doing it all day. I'm looking for positives. And I've been doing that, not just that day.
Yeah.
I've done it for like, say, 4 weeks straight. I've been looking for positive. And then she asked me that. I'm going to come at it from a whole different place, right? I'm going to be like, I'm really like tapped right now, babe. Like, can I help you later? Like, do you need it right now? Sometimes it might be a right now. I'm like, okay, you need it right now. All good.
Yeah.
But I've come at it calmer. She can tell too from my tone that I've got a lot on and I still prioritized helping first.
Yes.
Now, again, like regardless if it's delayed, I came at it in a nice, calm way. She's still happy.
Yeah.
If I do it right now, she realizes from my tone that I've like, okay, if this is a priority, I've done it. Like win-win, both ones, compared to me being like, I can't right now, or even if it's not angry, but it's like, not right now. Like that's probably more like what I do. It's like, not right now. And then I'm normally quite a positive guy, so anything that's even neutral is taken as negative. You know what I mean? Like it's like as if I like had just yelled. Yeah.
Yes.
So to avoid that, and then now there's not a tension from that thing. So then later on at dinner, we could have a nice conversation, and then that means that day was a good day. So I've got a tick. Now tomorrow is a better day because we had a tick yesterday, and then it just stacks up.
And it snowballs. Boom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we segued off massively
so much.
there.
I can't remember when we started the segue.
I know the I normally can work my way back, but I have Jason there talking to
Bring your mind.
Bring
back.
my thoughts back. But we were at what businesses can do to
not burn out with their
content creation and finding ways to enjoy those first 12 months.
Yeah.
Because most people are within that first 12 months where they're still trying to create content. You make like a challenge with yourself where you're like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make, because I've done this heaps of times where I'm like, I'm going to make a piece of content every day. And I'm a videographer and have been for a decade. So I should be able to do that easily.
Really hard, right?
Oh my gosh. It's so tough. So tough. Like,
I think that, because that's one too, people underestimate how hard it is. It is actually really, even like 30, 60 second Instagram videos, it is actually like quite time intensive, and time like just disappears in the day, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like for most people, like one a week, sweet, man. Like most people would jump into that
and
wanting to do heaps, but
not getting hung up on the quality at the outset. And then because people really think like it's so easy to feel like if I put this out there, everyone's going to think I'm stupid. But when you first put your content out there, no one actually sees it.
Yeah.
Like there's a few good mates and they're like, oh, there's Nick doing his thing again. But what's that really costing you? Because your mates kind of know that's what you're like anyway.
Because that's something that's such a barrier. And I felt it myself as well, of like, one, putting yourself out there. Yeah. Quite hard to do. And then when like, because you don't have the skills yet, it's not the best thing. And so there's like some embarrassment there. And then like for me, because it wasn't what I do for work, you're like, oh, will work be all good with me making stuff if they see it? And like my boss and stuff does follow Kiwi Dad now. So there is like mine was alright.
Oh, you think that they'll assume that you're doing it on work time?
Yeah, or like even just that, like you're making yourself a public persona. Yeah. And you're associated with
you're going to get judged.
So you've got to be careful of what you do. Yeah, like, or imagine if you're, say, a real estate agent.
No C-bombs.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, well, that's it too, because there's not a zero risk that anything you put out won't get you cancelled. You know, like there's not a, because sometimes what might be fine with you might not be for other people, and you're trying to be your authentic self, right? Like but anytime you put something on the internet, it can be misconstrued, it can be taken a certain way, and so there is that element underpinning it, which I don't even know. I think that was in my subconscious was playing a part, but I wasn't aware. And it's only after like doing it for a while, you're like, oh yeah, there is a risk with any content you make that might be a little bit edgy.
So do you feel like you're holding yourself back at all?
I don't. I avoid things that might, you know.
Yeah.
Like
I know one of your strategies is to find things that are controversial, but I've noticed that you don't pick a side. You throw an argument out one way and then another way, and then say, "What do you guys think? What side of the fence do you sit on?"
Yeah, well, I've done that a couple times, and that was again one of those ones where I knew it would work for the algorithm. Yeah, but it wasn't that fulfilling. So like, I think the one you might be talking about was like a screen time one, where this chick, I think she put a video
on. It was about
on,
your kids watching TV, I think.
Yeah. And the kid had, I think she was American maybe, and had a British accent from Peppa Pig or something like that. Maybe it was the other way around. I can't remember. But yeah, so she said all the things like American, the kid, and then all the comments were just like ripping into this mum, like useless mother, shouldn't have had kids, and like all this though, negative as, and
so
then
you felt a bit bad.
Or I saw it, and then this again with the danger of the content creator brain. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is a very hot topic. Like, if I make anything on this one way or the other, it's going to get attention. It might not be good attention, but it's going to get attention. Yeah. And then I'd seen another video like 3 or 4 months earlier of this chick that was, I can't remember, psychiatrist, something like that. And her whole thing is she studies screen time use and if it affects like developmental stages and stuff like that. Yeah. And her videos are like super boring. It's her in the car talking for 90 seconds, no captions or anything. And they were still doing all right. They get like 20,000 views, because the science she was sharing was really interesting. Yeah. So when I saw this one of like these people roasting this mum, and I remembered this one, and again, this is why you need to be looking for content all the time to find the patterns. Because I saw this one where this psychiatrist lady is talking about actually screen time has some benefits. We don't talk about it. And I was like, oh, I can just clip this chick's one in the comments and be like, actually this, and then just say the points from that lady. And the lady had all her studies. So I was like, oh, I can read the studies myself. Yeah. I'm quite into reading that stuff from like my testosterone hormone days anyway. I don't mind reading like research papers. Yeah. Not high level. I mean, you read the intro, the conclusion, you skim the middle. Some of them are 20 pages. I'm not going to go, you get a metric on, like if it's on 4 people, you're like, no, that's a shit study. Like it has to be on 600, you know, like. Yeah. But anyway, so I made a video on that saying, actually, there's benefits to screen time and it's this, and this. I didn't necessarily like put your kid in front of a screen. I was just saying that the argument isn't fulfilled, you know, like there's two sides.
It's not black and white.
Yeah, but then the comments again, you know, I unleashed the thing onto myself by doing it. But then you get a big growth in followers, you get a bunch of views. That one got, I think, like 2 million views or something like that. Because I knew it would. Like, I was like, I know this is going to. But then like the hard bit is you start getting nasty comments on your other videos from these people. Like, and then, you know, they're starting to say stuff about like Lila and stuff. So I delete them, but I was like, don't want to go into that area. I know I could do it right now. Like I've already got probably 5 ideas in that area that would do well. Like one is just roasting gentle parenting. I know that would do very well. It's very hot right now. People are very into like, there's a guy made a video and he's like, gentle parenting works for gentle kids. My kids are gangsters. And then it like shows his kids just being like whacking each other on the head and stuff. But like I've seen multiple like that. I'm like, oh, if you just did a video roasting gentle parenting, it would do really well. I don't want to do that because I actually like, I don't subscribe to the full gentle parenting style, but I think it is better than full discipline authoritarian style. Yeah. So that's, and then again, I'm not educated enough to these parenting styles. I have surface level knowledge. So you take pieces of everything. Yeah. And mix it all.
Just one thing there that I think was good to add, because when I first was trying to come up with ideas for videography, instead of having to make an Excel spreadsheet or like a Word document that you've got to manage and then go back in and then copy and paste links, that sometimes takes time. all I did was make a folder in my browser, and then I would just, because all of the videos that I liked were on YouTube, and I would just flick them into this folder, and it's like video ideas.
Yeah.
And then, but then since then, with me and you, I found the really cool one, because if you've got a business page and then you've got your personal page, and if you're just scrolling on your personal page, or if you're just scrolling on your business page, and you see something that you really like, but you're just in the moment, you don't have time to do anything with it, message it to your personal page, or message it from your personal page to your business page. So then the message thread between those two pages is just filled with all of these ideas for content. And then when you have an hour to go and do some filming or try and create your content, you don't spend 50 minutes of it trying to find the piece of content that you're going to copy or find. It's just like, all there.
That exact style. And then because I often see like ADHD memes, very like hot right now. You know, they're everywhere, but a lot of them work for like a tired parent as well, you know, because it's like doing too many things at once, distracted, that. And so I'll send an ADHD meme to my personal account, just like you said, and I'll write in the little like text box what I think it could do as a parenting one. So like I'll write the caption I'm thinking of, send it, and then the amount of times I like scroll through my chat to the south and I'm like, what was I thinking with this, like this reel? Like, what was I going to use it for? And then I see my idea there, which is like 5 words. I'm like, oh yeah, sweet. And then I'll just do it. Like I did one the other day, I think I sent it to you of, it was like from the beginning of Pineapple Express. Like jamming out some music. Yeah. And that was, I can't even remember what the original, it was something to, what it's like when someone tries to talk to you when you have ADHD because your brain's just buzzing. And then, yeah. And then I remember seeing it sort of like 2 months ago, wrote to myself that like, do this, but for like kids music, for the Wiggles, because you get so into the Wiggles. Yeah. And then, when I was like, what video should I put? I was just scrolling through. I was like, that one. Sweet, download, do it.
And then it just condenses that hour that you've got that would have taken so long to find the piece of content and then re-edit it and all of that. It just like pretty much cuts that in half. Yeah,
because like I probably have 200 video ideas already like in my little template right now. So
just for anyone listening, Logan is massive on this, and I'm not even close. Like no one has to be at Logan's level in order to make it work. I've got like maybe 10 or 12.
No, and this is like, again, I've been doing it for like 2 years. Optimizing workfly.
And it just slowly snowballs.
And that's it.
But that's so good.
Yeah.
You know, because then when you do go to make more content, you've just got so many options. And then, you know, as fads change or like, you know, because things come back into being popular, then when something comes back around, then it's like, I remember when I saved a whole bunch of videos like this. And then instantly you've got a whole bunch of pieces of content to use rather than having to find it. So it just makes it easier. We're just trying to make it easier for everyone.
Yeah, and that's it. You want it to be easy so you can do it. Like a big one is like meme posts do really well for like exposure. So like regardless of your niche, you can find some sort of meme that you could turn into something like that fits you, you know, like everything. I've seen all sorts of weird stuff that's somehow become a meme. Like one's like Renaissance paintings, and then they have like captions above it. Like one's I saw the other day, it's like I wonder why no one ever invites me out on the weekend. And then there's like a chick. It's like 2 Renaissance people, a guy and a chick talking, and she's like, "Hey, do you want to come out this weekend?" And then it's like him, generic excuse, and then her. Did you just say generic excuse, Christopher? So good. And it's for like going out on the weekend. But like
we're probably gonna have to display that on the screen.
Yeah, we should. Hopefully I did it justice. But that one you could like easily flip to like when your boss asks you to work overtime. Hey, can you work late tonight? And then you're like, generic excuse. And then did you just say generic excuse? Like, but you could do that for so many things, that one meme, and it'll get views and get you exposure.
And where do you find memes?
Just following other accounts and scrolling, and you know.
Because I never really see memes or wouldn't know where to look.
So if you go on Instagram, we'll say, because it's probably easier to find them there, the little circle down the bottom for search. If you click on that, it'll just recommend a bunch of stuff based on what you're following right now. Accounts you don't follow generally.
And there'll be memes in there if you scroll.
There's always memes in there. And then anytime you click on one and you look at it, if you like it, it helps too. But just looking at it Instagram's like tracking how long you looked at it if you watched the whole video. And then that little, it's called the explore page.
Yeah.
That little explore page will slowly, so mine is like, it's either parenting stuff or memes. It's just filled with it.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Because my one's just like random stuff that
you
I'm
haven't
not
spent
even
enough
into. And I've
time.
never,
Yeah,
and every
yeah,
time
yeah.
I've ever gone to go on it, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not into bodybuilding female.
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
And
yeah.
like, and then it'll be like launches driving through like those channels in Big C.
Are your
like,
mates that you follow on your account, do you think?
I don't know, because every time I've ever gone in there, I've been like, how is this part of my algorithm? And so I just never spend any time in there. And so
it's normally, if it doesn't have enough data on you, it's based on who you follow and engage with and you're following. So if they
so
like
that means
it,
the people I engage with just scroll through the
you're probably getting it.
those
Legit.
boats going through the channels in rough sea.
Yeah.
It's always those.
Interesting, yeah. So whatever
And
you
so I
click
just never
on,
go there.
it will start
Okay.
to, and like,
So I just need to filter through there and just not spend anything on any time on anything I don't like.
Do like what we were saying with the personal accounts. Like
Yeah.
my personal account is just like ADHD memes, pretty much. Because I spent so much time like looking and saving them.
Yeah.
It's just all that it shows me. And then like if you go follow a couple accounts as well, you'll get more of that.
Okay.
You know, but it's a real easy way to build it up. Yeah, memes
Sweet.
are like easy views, super like quick to make, really good. And I think another one actually when we were talking about this, sending it to yourself, is like what I do is I'll send a bunch, and then when I want to use some memes, I scroll up about 2 months, because then I'm like, oh, they're like the online time is like maybe 30 days of memory that people have. So if you post something, if someone just posted it and you basically redo the meme, only change it slightly, probably won't do that well, because it's like someone's already seen that meme, it's not that funny. You wait a month or two and then you repost it, slightly adjusted, it'll probably perform really well again, and people will think you kind of came up with that meme idea. So just another little trick to like not repost memes straight away, but like, again, when you build up a thing, sometimes I go back 12 months, I'm like, that's funny as, why don't I never do one of that? Like, and then you make it, and
Game
sometimes
on.
it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And then so in this process where you started, so last time you were on here, you're at 5,000 followers. The main thing that got you the followers, what actually was that? Because we haven't actually touched on that yet.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about the whole day challenge?
May as
thing?
well.
Yeah, sweet.
Because you did a day challenge.
Yeah. So it's a funny one. Again, this comes from looking at other creators and what's working for them.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, there's like, I can't remember what his name is, but like a 14-year-old kid did this challenge, and it was like, if I get to 500,000 followers, I have to do whatever the top comment is. And I can't remember what it was. It was like shave his head and run around naked or something. I can't remember. It was something weird. But
Wasn't that ideal for a 14-year-old?
yeah.
Not
But
at all.
he grew like 200,000 followers. He didn't. I think he got to the 500K now, but he grew like 200,000 in like a week or two. And I was like,
Holy.
what the fuck was that? Like, yeah. And again, I just like logged in my head. I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. But interesting. And then these guys called The Attention Seeker, which are like a social media business in New Zealand. And I did a podcast with them and their owner, Stan. I still yarn with him all the time. And I watched them go from like, their Instagram wasn't good. Their TikTok is huge. It's got like 1 million, really successful on TikTok. But their Instagram is like 1,000. They just couldn't crack that. And then I checked back one day and they were at like 50,000. I was like, what? Like, how did they do that so quick? And then I checked again, it's like 80,000. And then so I sent him a message and I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, what's the way? And I scrolled through the main page and I couldn't see anything jumping out at me. I was like, what have you done? He's like, try and find it, and then I'll explain what we're doing if you can find it. So then that was like a good goal. Then I went to like their Reels tab, and they've got rid of this now on Instagram, but you used to be able to make a video and not share it to your followers. So you could untick share to feed, and it wouldn't go to any of your followers. It would just go on that explore page we were talking about earlier. So non-followers. And then I found the videos they were doing there, and it was like one of his worker chicks. She's really cool. I've met her, Joni. But anyway, she has like this big thing, and she's counting rice. And she's like, day 2, my boss said that he'll pay me 1 cent for every follower I get up until New Year's Eve or something like that. Help me like break his bank or something like that. And it wasn't working. And then on like day 6 or day 7, she's gained like 1,000 followers in that time. And then that works out at, I think, only like $10. No, it must have been 10,000 followers. Okay, so she's gained 10,000 and it's like
Cost him
$1,000, yeah. And then Stan, the boss, comes in and is like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you like $2,000 and we'll call it there, you know, sort of thing. And then she's like, nah. And then the comments are like, don't do it, blah, blah, blah. And then she surges up to like 100,000 followers at this point.
So it's costing $10,000.
It's going to cost him $10,000. And then he comes back out in a video and he's like, I can't do $10,000, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you've only got 10 days left, double or nothing. You know, I'll give you $20,000. Oh, no, I think he's like, I'll give you $50,000 if you get it to 200,000, but otherwise you get nothing. And then she's like to the audience, should I do it? And then everyone's like, do it, blah, blah, blah. And then they're fully invested in that storyline and they start sending it to everybody. And then they hit the 200,000. It worked. Interesting point. I don't know if she did get the money because she never did make a real, maybe, she probably did. But I know when I was talking to Stan, he was like, it's the narrative. You've got to tell a story, and they were painting him as the bad guy. It was all like orchestrated to look like she's going to get one over on him when really they'd planned out this whole thing. But yeah, after I had seen, so this happened for a while. I heard about it when it was just starting to work for them. And then I was telling my wife, Charlie, about it. We're like out for dinner. It's like, oh, how do I do this? And then originally it was going to be, I thought, oh, I'll get a tattoo of Delilah, my daughter's drawing, if I hit 50,000. And then I think I was talking to Stan about it. And he was like, there's no bad guy in this. There's no one to try and defeat. It's just you and you want the followers. So like, that's not the narrative. And then, when I was talking to Charlie, she was like, oh, yeah?
We've missed the narrative on our one.
Yeah, you need a bad guy.
We need a bad guy.
Matt's the bad guy in our one. That's what we're trying to go for, but we need to strengthen that.
He's too nice,
narrative.
though, smiling in all our videos.
Yeah, we need to rip him off somehow.
We need to make him bad.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, back to the story.
Oh, no, yeah. So then, I was telling this to Char of how can I do it.
Yeah.
She was like, why don't I get the tattoo? And you have to like win it over on, like try and like get one over on me and I'll be like the bad guy.
How good.
Like, yeah,
I was like, my wife would get a tattoo.
No, but then I was like, wait, are you serious though? Like, would you actually? And she was like, oh, it probably won't happen, right? Like the 50,000, that was our goal, 50,000 followers. Probably won't happen. I was like, it might, like you got to be on it. And then, so we made a deal then that we'd both, for years, she's always wanted us to have matching tattoos.
Oh, okay.
My sister's a tattooist. She always wanted it, and I've always just like been like, nah, I don't like the idea of matching tattoos. I don't know. It was before we got married, she wanted to get one, and I was like, nah. And then I've just kind of stuck to that since, you know. And then,
now you're married and got a kid.
Yeah.
Matching tattoos, whatever.
Yeah. And then, yes, it was kind of like, that was the draw card. I was like, I'll get it as well, and then we'll have the same tattoo. But then in the bet in the day challenge, we didn't say I would get it. It was just her. Yeah. Again, to like kind of hide the narrative a bit.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, it didn't really work. Like I'd done it for about 15 days, I think. And then I also learned how hard, because normally I've got videos ready to post. So whenever I'm editing videos, it's going to be something that's maybe coming out in like a couple days or a week.
Yeah.
Suddenly I had to like film a video each day. And then, the other hard part is that I got Lila, my daughter, in every video saying day 1, day 2, day 3, and doing parts of it, and then counting, because we counted something every time. And like to do that, like you work all day and then you got to try and do it like in the afternoon. If you're cooking dinner as well, you got to try and like film. If she's not into it, it might not work. You know what I mean? Like and like I never want to force Lila to do a video, so she's not. I just find a way to like do the video with her around, you know. And some of the videos you can see that. But I'd massively underestimated how hard it is to, most of the time it was in the afternoon. So I'm filming it in the afternoon and then like editing it and then like cutting to me and Charlie making the deal and stuff and then posting it that night and then doing it again the next day. And after just 2 weeks, 2 weeks of it, I was like, holy shit, this is hard. Like, and we're doing it in December. So there's like all these social things. We had like our Christmas do, you know, end of work functions. I was going away for work and stuff. So like, how am I going to do this? Like I remember one time I was going away to Auckland for 2 days, like away that morning, back the next night. So like I think like Lila normally wakes up like 6 a.m. and that was when I needed to leave. So like literally 6 a.m. before I leave for work, film something with her, go up, work in Auckland. I think we like went out to drinks with the clients. I get back to the hotel at like 10 at night. I'm editing that night.
Yeah.
Post it up.
That's huge.
Back, work the next day, come back from Auckland. It's like
So you really got to want it.
Yeah, 6:30 at night, come back, got to film then, edit again. I was like, how am I going to keep doing this? You know, like, we went away for a wedding in Wellington, same thing. I was like, oh my God, like, how can I keep going? And then it was right around the time I was about ready to quit as well. Like, I think it was on day 21 that the day 7 video, and Instagram does this sometimes, like, I've had videos pop off 3 months after I posted them, which didn't used to be the thing. But yeah, like around day 21, day 7 just started to go mental. And like 24 hours, we gained 30,000 followers. Whew. It just like blew up, you know? Yeah. And then from there, again, it wasn't, so I was still making
So you were doing all of this and you were like trying to make all the content, you're pushing the boat out, you're like, if I just stick at it, and nothing was happening for 21 days.
Yeah, pretty, I think like I was still gaining, but it was like 10 followers, 20 followers, you know, like nothing, which made it easy for our counting because we're just counting 20. And then with the 30,000 one, I was like, oh, we can't count. So we just like poured a bag of rice in and like
that's about 30,000.
Yeah. We kept making the videos after that as well. And even those new videos weren't popping off, but then then it was like day 15 popped off and that got like 10,000 followers. And then again, cause like in the video each time you see the followers that we're at that day. And like day 7, we're at like, I think I had 10,000 before I even started the challenge. So we're at like 10,100. And people, when they see the day 7 video, they see that 10,000 pop up in the video. Then they click on my page and they're like, oh, he's at 40,000. He's almost at the 50. I'll follow. And so it was like,
and it boosted
again, that
right
narrative.
through.
Yeah. And then by the time we like got to the 50, it's like, woohoo. And then got a video, I made it with Char of like, you're going to do it? You're going to do it? We said, yeah. And then we're like, if we get to 75,000, we'll both get the tattoo. Me knowing also we're both getting it regardless. But again, you're telling a narrative. Yeah.
So I'm just having a brainwave. We need to get Matt to we need to get a video of Matt laughing at us for only having X amount of followers so far. And be like, I'm safe.
Yeah.
You guys got nothing.
To have that narrative.
Yeah. And then we can make him the bad guy for the final like 10, 12 days.
And keep pushing in that way. Yeah.
I reckon we do that.
Because that's it, is like all these things have to tell a story, you know, like there has to be some sort of, I mean, my day videos were basically, I never got Char in it again until right at the end. I think like day 21, or no, it must have been like 23. When we gained that 30,000, that was the first video where she was back in it. And I was like, hey, Char, look at this. And then show her. And then she's like, we're almost at 50,000. Like, you know, and that's when I pulled her back into it. We're going to have to get the tattoo. Yeah. Yeah, and then with the 75,000 one, and this is so props to Char for being on board. She was like, day 25, and she did the whole video, which was very hard to convince her. Yeah, she's like, I made a bet with my husband, blah blah blah, and she's like, but if we hit 75,000, then he has to get it, and like that and that's how perfect you got to 80. Narrative, and then like the 75,000. It was funny because it like did it almost instantly. Like I just did it and then it stopped like right there, you know, like, but it got us there that quick, you know, which is, so it's definitely, there's something to that structure.
Yeah. So anyone that's listening, if you can follow everything that Logan's done and you can put the work in for doing those videos every single day, this is a little hack that we are trying at the moment for another account. And we'll let you know. We're at day 18.
I suggested currently. It for a guy I'm helping out who has like a dog page. Yeah. And he like fosters dogs. And I was saying that should make it that his like missus doesn't want to keep this dog long term. I know he's going to keep a dog long term. And I was like, you should do a day challenge of convincing your missus that we should keep this dog if we hit this amount of, was it sorry?
No, missus, yeah.
Missus, sorry, partner,
however you want to say it.
Kiwi language, yeah.
Kiwi slang.
You should make a day challenge of convincing your partner that, like, if we hit 50K, then we'll keep this dog, you know? Yeah. And then that, like, cute dog, followers, I'm, like, positive if he sticks to it each day, it'll totally work. So it'll be interesting to see in that niche. But, like, that's how you can adapt it
Yeah.
to most. It works right now, I think, this day challenge thing. I don't know, we're seeing if it works again. Again, it's like one of those trends where it'll work and then it'll stop working and then it'll come back. Who knows how long that kind of thing works, but yeah, it's just a cool tool to have.
That's a great tool. My mind's spinning about how we can add some narrative to it for Matt so that we can try and get there, because he's actually going to put $1 in per follower, because he doesn't want it to be fake at all, which you never actually want it to be.
Yeah.
So you want to either get the tattoo or do the thing that you're saying you're going to do.
I should
show the tattoo.
Yeah. There's the camera. And Charlie's got it as well. So
it's just literally a scribble.
It's literally the drawing we said.
Oh yeah.
Which, because throughout
red
it,
and
we had
blue
like,
scribble, yeah.
on like day one, Lila's drawing, and then she did 2 drawings, and I was like, she'll get it. And then that was hard too, because I'd taken photos, but I had to find them. Like, oh god, we're like, where is the tattoo? You know, like, and then we got it. But yeah, we stuck to it, because I've seen, I think we've talked about it. There's another dude that did this exact day challenge style, and then got the followers, just deleted all the videos about it, and then didn't stick. I can't remember what he said he was going to do. But whatever he said,
it was something to do with having an investor.
Yeah, he never even showed the investor. Yeah. But he just didn't even follow through. Like, ethically for me, that's like no bueno. Like, you got to get the tattoo.
No, you got to do the thing. But it sounds like a great hack for trying to get, your engagement boosted. And then once, and even if they're just following you for the challenge, that's why at the end of your one, I remember saying to you, like, try and weave in, like, what are they following you for? And try and weave into your narrative like a reason to keep following you from now on, because then it keeps them interested and you don't just have this massive drop off once you get there.
Yeah, and that was great advice, by the way. And then what I did was
I give good advice often. So
no, it was super good. Yeah, because you told me that quite early on. Because I remember talking to you when I started. I was on like day 2 or something. And I was like, I think it's gonna work. And it wasn't really working at first. You're like, how's it going? I was like, I don't know, but maybe. And then when it started to happen, you said that. And then I did that same thing of going through the most popular posts of other accounts. And I just went through mine those last 12 months, because I didn't have the capacity to make videos and do the day challenge. I was like, I will burn out. There's no way I can do both at the same time. So instead, I just like got all my best performing posts from the last 12 months. And each day on top of the day challenge, I was like, favorite post to 2023. And then some of those did better like the second time than they did the first time. Some didn't. Wow. They did worse. But then each time people were following for the day challenge, they're seeing the best content I have. And because I'd been doing it for a while by then, some of my content is really good. And as far as they know, like, they're only seeing the best, so they think that's always the level of content I'm making. So they're seeing they're the best of the best I've got. Yeah. But to them, it seems like, wow, all his content's like so good. And then, it just keeps them in. And then, I managed to retain those followers. I think I lost maybe 3,000 after the challenge, where the attention seeker people that did it, they got to 200,000. They dropped off massively. Like, I think they lost like 50,000. They held it for like a little while and then they lost. And then just recently they've been like, woof, they've all gone, they missed the advice you gave of having that content of the why and building that like connection, So it's just that's a really good tip.
Sweet. Well, I think we've chatted for a while now. We just went on a snowball, took some segues. Yeah. So I think that's probably enough. Yeah, man. That's a great podcast. Yeah. And thank you so much for coming on. I really wanted to do it with Logan because it's my first time doing it without Jason, and I love having Jason there to just to command the conversation and then have me sit back and ask little questions where I can. So I wasn't too sure how it was going to go by myself, and Logan has made it very easy. So thank you so much for coming on Common Unity.
No worries. No, I mean, and if you ever need a guest host person to jump in and help you out, let me know.
You're the guy.
It's fun, man. Yeah.
Sweet.
Always a good time.
Cheers.
Sweet. Nice one, man.